Hi, I'm Brett Cummings. I'm the Mayor of Collins, and I wanted to give the community a quick update on some things that are coming through town. We've actually come into quite a bit of money, and there's some potential for some more money. And as this gets moving through, I want to make sure people are knowledgeable and they know what's happening here. And specifically in this short video, I want to mention something called ARPA. Now, if you don't know what ARPA is, don't feel bad. It's not what people talk about every single day. But there was some money allocated by the federal government in reference to something called the American Rescue Plan Act. And in the initial infrastructure bill, the federal government wanted to get money into the hands of communities. And they wanted us to be able to use this for shovel-ready projects. And they wanted us to be able to take this money and try to get locals back to work, but also to provide support to the town in ways that maybe we couldn't do on our own. So specifically, this money came in two parts. There came a local part, and then there was money allocated to counties. In the case of Collins, we got a big chunk of money over 2 years. We haven't got it all yet, for about $68,000. Now, that's a good chunk of money, and we've already got plans for the money. I wish it went further than it did. We don't get tons of money individually as a community because, well, there's not a lot of people who live in Collins, and it was based on per capita. So this money in Collins so far has been designated to some water meter upgrades, specifically our software. And there's also some money going to be used for our retention pond. Now, there is a retention pond that we're hoping to build. And the idea is it's going to take care of some of the problems, alleviate some of the flooding that happens on one end of town. We've already done some major work on the northern part of town. This will hopefully help us limit some of the, or mitigate some of the stormwater issues we have in the southern part of town. I think it's a good plan. It's been on the table for a while. Right now, we've got engineering to figure out exactly the scope of that project and to help us try to figure out exactly how much it's going to cost us in total, and then eventually figure out where we can find the money to make the payments. There's some good money out there, CDBG money, things like that, but that's money we can talk about later on. Now, on the other end of it, this comes from Story County. And Story County county was allotted $18 million. And obviously, they've got a lot of people in the county, a lot more than Collins has just in our border. Now, every county got a chunk of money, and that money was based upon how much they have for population. Story County came out a lot better than some counties because some counties just don't have people in it. And what Story County did, every single county had their own process they can use. In the case of Story County, they opened it up to projects in terms of a grant process. And that grant process for Collins meant that we can come up with any project we want, and we can enter those into an application process, and then we could try to find out whether we can get some money. And in our case, we decided to go for broke. And I sat down and wrote these grants, of course, with the city council's blessing and their input. It wasn't all me. And these grant applications were in the form of 5 different applications. And sorry about that word applications, it got a little cut off there. And we did 5 different things. Number one, the first one, which was the biggest request, was to pay off our SRF loan. Now, the SRF loan is what we used to fund our lagoon project that we built some 10 years ago, and we still got another 10 years to pay off on it. This is why your water bill is $35, $40 higher than what it probably should be. It's because we're paying back that loan. It'd be great if we can pay it off. Another project that I had requested for, and I say the city actually, like I said, the council had input in this, so it's not all me. But this application that was put in was to finish some of the work that we had started, actually all the work we had started on the northern part of Collins that I'd mentioned before, and this was to help us mitigate stormwater. And if you go up to 4th Avenue in Collins, you will see that there's a culvert there that really is in need of repair, replacement. Sometimes it doesn't get the job done. And the idea is that this was the last piece of the puzzle from the original design that had been put in place to mitigate those water issues. So this 4th Avenue project would have been a good one. And it's been on the drawing table for quite a while. Another project that we asked money for was to help us upgrade our water lines. And, we've got a lot of problems with our water lines because they're aging. And those aging water lines, unfortunately, mean that we have a lot of leaks. And those leaks cost people money. And we have gone above and beyond trying to locate those leaks. And we know that we're going to have to make some repairs. And it's not just the water leaks we want to fix. We also want to set ourselves up for potential growth. And right now we don't have the infrastructure to support that growth. So we've asked for some water line improvements. And this was part of our grant request. Another request we asked was for some improvements to our sewer lines. And we had done a lot of work with our sewer a number of years ago, like I said, about 10 years ago when I first came on board here. But unfortunately, that work did not complete everything we needed to have done. It took care of everything we needed at the time. But the idea is we would go ahead and make use of some of these funds and potentially finish some stuff up. And the last thing on the list refers to economic stimulus. We were asking for money to help stimulate the economy because it's one of the categories you could request money for. Well, here's how it all played out. This one, they said no to, and they said no because the loans cannot be used to repay debt. This one, they said no to. Wonderful picture, but not what they wanted to pay for, mainly because the project itself was fine, but it was already attached to a project we had began and we got federal funding for, so they don't want to give us money for that. The other two projects were a green light, and they wanted to fund these. And the resulting, the end result to their support is that we were able, as a community, to capture more money per capita than anybody else in Story County. And I think a lot of that has to do because the way the project was laid out and the priorities that we set out for the project, because not only do they support growth, but they also support individual homeowners. And that's something that the county really definitely wanted to support. So this first one, water upgrades, is in the form of $340,000, which is a lot of money. It's not going to solve all of our problems, but man, it's going to give us a head start in figuring out what some of them are. And this $340,000, this is money that we can tap into specifically to help provide some residential repairs. We know that there are some lines in town that are in really bad shape, and we will have the funds to maybe potentially provide a grant or something else to some homes that are maybe in the worst shape. We don't know what that looks like yet. We're still working through the details, but about $60,000 of this is just specifically for homes. And part of our justification was not just to help homeowners, but also to help us track down some of these water leaks that are costing the city a lot of money because of our aging infrastructure, and save everybody else a little bit of money in the process. So this residential repair portion, I really am firmly of the belief that this was a big reason why they supported us the way they did, because this is going directly to the homeowner. And those are things they wanted to be able to do. Okay, so there's two things coming from that. Our sewer project is going to provide us $277,500 in support. Once again, a lot of money. That's $250,000 or a little plus, actually. And there are really two things that this money is going to go for. Once again, we're going to go right back and help the residents. Specifically, providing free residential inspections to everybody in town. Now, why is this important? Well, this is going to help the city determine I&I data that we need to provide the DNR when it comes to our lagoons, but also it's going to give people, homeowners, a choice as to whether they want repairs or don't want repairs. Now, of course, that's something we can't fund and support. We're not going to pay for that as a city, but at least you know if you have a problem that's lurking out there you didn't know about. These inspections will go through and televise everything that you have from your house to the actual the city controlled water lines or sewer lines, and it's going to give you options. And we got a great rate on that, and this is going to be like I said, a nice service. And the other part of this money, the bulk of the money actually, is going to help us finish the work that we started 10 years ago by allowing us to line the other half of our town sewer pipes that we didn't get done before. So this is going to be a really good deal too. And that takes us to our last item. And I want to be brief about these things because I don't want you to have to watch 6 hours of video. But we're also awarded $500. Excuse me. I don't want to cheapen the award. And this is towards economic stimulus. And part of this ARPA money is to get businesses back going again. And we had a fantastic model to follow when we had developed a meals program using CDBG funding when COVID first hit. Now, I'm not a huge believer that the government needs to spend all this money, but you know what? If they're going to do it, we might as well get a piece of it for ourselves, and we might as well help support the businesses in Story County so that they are around later on when we need them. And so we are going to replicate this meals program that we had already initiated with CDBG funds, and we are going to come back and we are going to actually spend $54,500 supporting different businesses to feed our community through the meals program, just like we did before. Now, I haven't reached out to our volunteers yet. We don't have all the specifics on this. We're still waiting on some details, but this money has already been guaranteed us, and we're hoping it could be as soon as May when we are looking at potentially getting going little by little with these efforts. So that's a quick down and dirty on exactly what we got going on and what we hope to get out of this ARPA fund. There are other projects going on we haven't had time to talk about, like TIF. We haven't had time to talk about what we're doing with our roads. We haven't had time to talk about some of the conversations we've had about improving our Heart of Iowa Trail and getting that all the way through town. There are other things we have going on, and we even have something in our community center. We're trying to upgrade our kitchen there. So there's lots of stuff going on in Collins, a lot of stuff to be proud of. But initially, I just wanted to make sure we had a clear idea what this ARPA money was. We could have brought this to your attention a lot sooner, but we wanted to get closer to the time when the money would actually start being dispersed. And we're hoping in May that this money could potentially start being dispersed. That's it. If you have any questions, please reach out to one of your city council members. If you have any issues with anything on here that you're confused about, our city clerk's available, our public works director is knowledgeable, and of course, you've got the office of the mayor that you can email and try to reach out to me about. That's it. If you have any questions at all, once again, we're all here for you, and we'll do our best to keep you updated as time goes on and more information becomes available to us. Thank you for your time.